Please be ready to press play button in 3, 2, 1, start.
In the year 645, the Tang Empire has prospered for 38 years now. Under the rule of the second emperor, Tang Taizong, the empire is making progress in every way. In Luoyang, east of Chang'an, the capital city, Emperor Taizong is busy assembling the army to deal with a rebellion on the eastern front of the empire. Meanwhile, Xuanzang is returning to Chang'an. His journey to the west has ended. The hardship, sorrow and joy experienced on his 19-year pilgrimage to India are now behind him. Life has opened a new page. Xuanzang now faces an enormous task he has to finally achieve. That is Chinese Buddhism. His task is so complicated that he cannot accomplish it alone. He is eager to gain the support of the emperor. Emperor Taizong summoned Xuanzang to the palace in Luoyang. According to historical records, Emperor Taizong has had a very long conversation with Xuanzang. The emperor is quite impressed by Xuanzang when they first meet. However, the emperor seems to show little interest in Buddhism. He is more interested in the customs of the western regions and the areas to the west of the Pamir Plateau. Emperor Taizong wants Xuanzang to write a record of his experiences during the 19-year journey to the west. The emperor isn't particularly interested in the subject of Buddhism. But he does promise to provide all necessary support to Xuanzang. In March year 645, Xuanzang returns to Chang'an, where, with the support of the emperor, he starts his Buddhist translation project. 19 years ago, in China at the time, there were serious differences in the understanding of Buddhist practice among local Buddhists. This was due to the lack of Buddhist textbooks, coupled with the misinterpretation during the translation process. The debate over what was right or wrong was becoming increasingly fierce. Xuanzang risked his life to travel to India to bring the true knowledge back in order to solve the problem. It was 19 years of nothing but continuous hard work. Xuanzang is eager to translate the Sanskrit scriptures he brought back from India into Chinese. This is the best way to resolve past misunderstanding about Buddhism. Very few people can grasp how difficult this task is. Discourse on the stages of yogic practice is a doctrine that Xuanzang has studied in depth and is very much well versed. There are 40,000 verses in Sanskrit. For translation of the Buddhist scriptures into Chinese, he generally translates a verse into 4 sentences. The translation contains as many as 160,000 Chinese sentences, and at least no less than 1 million Chinese characters. Xuanzang brought back 657 Sanskrit texts from India. The task of translation is indeed enormous beyond imagination. Xuanzang translates the scriptures during the day. By night, he has to write his record for the emperor. The record is very important to Emperor Taizong and is also directly related to the future of Xuanzang. Since the fall of the Han Empire over 300 years ago, the Tang Empire once again seeks to rebuild Chinese influence over neighboring states and regions. Emperor Taizong is a man of great talent. He is eager to restore the order along the Silk Road. The Turkic people in the north are no longer a threat, but those in the west are. The emperor urgently wants to learn all he can about the western kingdoms. Xuanzang has the knowledge of geography, people and customs. They're exactly the kind of information the emperor wants. As for the Buddhist scriptures, Xuanzang gathers a number of qualified monks and assigns them different tasks depending on their individual skills. Some excel in Sanskrit or Chinese. Others are good at literature and grammar. Officials from the Tang court are specially chosen to facilitate the translation. Historical records say each sentence requires 10 steps. With his expertise in Chinese and Sanskrit, Xuanzang is responsible for overseeing the entire project. He often sits with his colleagues, discuss and work with them for hours. He summarizes the translation experience from a historical perspective. Xuanzang combines literal and liberal translation to create a series of unprecedented method of translation. It's a new chapter of history of Buddhist scripture translation in China. In July of the year 646, Xuanzang completes the record of his 19-year journey covering 110 countries he passed, as well as the 28 countries that he has learned about but never personally visited. The 12 volumes of the Great Tang Records of the Western regions is a confirmation which remains valuable to this day. For Emperor Taizong, Xuanzang's record comes at the right time. The Tang army is all set to be dispatched to the west to control the western approach to China. The record offers the best geographic guide to the 138 countries. It covers history to geography, size of the capital to the culture. The content is amazingly detailed. The emperor is very pleased with Xuanzang's work. In return, Xuanzang asks if the emperor will be kind enough to write the preface of the scriptures he is translating. Emperor Taizong appears very reluctant. As the emperor does not have good understanding of Buddhism, he does not want to commit himself at this point. In the year 647, Xuanzang is now free to spend more of his time translating the scriptures. As a project leader, he is the first to read the original scriptures, interpret and explain their meaning. In case of a problem with translation, He is the one to make the final judgment, as Xuanzang is skilled in both Sanskrit and Chinese. He sleeps only 4 hours a day during the translation period. His biography says he is a quiet person and not social. He devotes all his time to the tasks at hand and makes every effort to ensure the Buddhist scriptures in China are the best they can be. In the year 648, Xuanzang is now 49 years old. His career is about to take a big turn. This secluded valley, located in Tongchuan City, Shaanxi Province. It is less than 100 kilometers from Xi'an. More than 1,000 years ago, the Yuhe Palace, the summer resort of Emperor Taizong, was built here. Xuanzang meets with Emperor Taizong every now and then, and discovers that Emperor Taizong is still not very interested in Buddhism. In fact, the emperor advises him to give up being a monk and to take an official position in the Tang court. Xuanzang replies that if the emperor orders him to return to secular life, it would be like dragging a boat from the water to the land. Xuanzang presents the emperor the completed translation of the discourse on the stages of yogic practice. And once again he humbly repeats his request to the emperor to write the preface of the translation. This time the emperor does not turn the request down. At Yuhe Palace, Emperor Taizong generously gives Xuanzang a reward of great value. But the most important thing is, the emperor has finally agreed to write the preface of the scriptures for Xuanzang. This is an important turning point for Xuanzang and Chinese Buddhism. Emperor Taizong has written the preface to the 3 religions of the Tang dynasty. It contains a total of 780 words. The emperor not only bestows Xuanzang as the leader of Buddhism but also shows his support of Buddhism for the first time. This is what Xuanzang has long been hoping for. Emperor Taizong also issues a royal decree requiring each and every monastery in the Tang Empire to ordain 5 monks. Hongfu Monastery, where Xuanzang does his work in particular, is required to ordain 50 monks. In a very short time, the number of monks increases by more than 18,000. Buddhism is flourishing again in the time of Tang dynasty. While Xuanzang's translation work is ongoing, the Tang Empire has made remarkable progress with its Western Front campaign. The Tang army has conclusively defeated and conquered Western kingdoms such as Gaochang, Yanqi, Kusha and Yu. The Tang Empire has reached its peak, so to speak. 3 centuries after the fall of Han Dynasty, the region is once again ruled by China. During the reign of Emperor Taizong, China has completely restored order along the Silk Road. Trading between the East and the West has reached its peak. The same year, the envoy of the Tang Empire returns from India. It has also brought back to the Tang Empire people from the West. Indians assisted in the development of the calendar. Turks work as royal guards. Musicians, Singers and dancers all come from the western region. Chang'an has turned into the cosmopolitan city of the world. Wealth of the empire is accumulating steadily here. All religions can be practiced with freedom. People come from all directions to live in this city. This year Chang'an undertakes a huge project and Xuanzang is given a new assignment. Crown Prince Li Ji has built the Temple of Great Compassionate Blessings in commemoration of his mother. And Xuanzang is personally appointed by the emperor to be the abbot. The Buddhist scriptures and statues obtained from India are to be kept at the temple. The temple is said to have consisted of a great number of pagodas and courtyards. It may be the largest temple in Chang'an. Emperor Taizong throws a grand ceremony for the temple and for Xuanzang. The ceremony is second only in scale to the empire celebration. He personally led the prince and the royal family to the city tower to greet Xuanzang. At the Temple of Great Compassionate Blessings, Xuanzang served as the abbot of a monastery for the first time. However, his main task is still the endless translation of Buddhist scriptures. Unfortunately, Xuanzang suddenly faces an unexpected and tragic upheaval. An affair between his favorite disciple, Bianji, and Princess Gaoyang is exposed. Frequent contacts with the royal family gives Bianji plenty of opportunities to get acquainted with Emperor Taizong's daughter. She has a reputation for self-indulgence and egocentric behavior. Bianji's execution is a serious blow to Xuanzang. He lost a friend and companion, someone who earned his trust the most during the translation work. The scandal is the talk of the town among people of Chang'an. They begin to question the integrity of monks in general. It greatly affects the translation work. Xuanzang is depressed, but his greatest obstacle is yet to come. In April of year 649, Xuanzang traveled to the royal summer resort near Chang'an. Just about half a year after the completion of the Temple of Great Compassionate Blessings, Emperor Taizong has fallen very ill. At the last moment of his life, Xuanzang is at his bedside. The emperor passes away. Xuanzang accelerates the work of translating the scriptures. His biography says he sets himself time every day. He continues day and night and sometimes sleeps for a few hours. He strongly believes the work will benefit the future generations. Xuanzang is unable to develop Buddhism without the support of the royal family. He must mend his relationship with the imperial court. After Emperor Taizong's death, Prince Liji inherits the crown. His wife is the famous Wu Jietian, the first woman to ascend to the throne of China. In the year 652, Xuanzang requests the permission from Emperor Tanggaozong to build a pagoda at the Temple of Great Compassionate Blessings, to house the Buddhist scriptures and objects he brought back with him from his pilgrimage. Near Nalanda in India, Xuanzang visits a pagoda called Hamsa Stupa. Hamsa means wild goose. Legend has it that Buddha once turned into a wild goose which fell to the ground and died. The story warns the monks to abstain from killing. Xuanzang is deeply impressed by the pagoda. He designs the wild goose pagoda based on the Hamsa Stupa in India. Over 1,300 years later, though the pagoda in India has long disappeared, the pagoda built by Xuanzang still remains in the present-day city of Xi'an in Shaanxi province. Only a few people know the connection to the story of Buddha in India. He wants it made of stones, but it is impossible to obtain enough stones within a short period of time. The pagoda is built of mud and bricks. His biography says Xuanzang participates in the construction himself. He helps carry the bricks for 2 weeks despite being 53 years old. He has 2 stone tablets inscripted with the words of Emperor Taizong. The inscription on the tablets is the handwriting of the Prime Minister, Zhu Suiliang. Xuanzang knows that prosperity can fade in a blink of an eye. He hopes the 2 Tang emperors can bless this pagoda. The wild goose pagoda will hold all the Buddhist scriptures and objects. The history records say there are relics on every story of the pagoda, which is more than 50 meters high. In the year 845, less than 200 years after the pagoda was completed, Buddhists face persecution and traumas. More than 4,600 temples have been destroyed. 260,000 monks and nuns forced to return to secular lives. This unprecedented attack on Buddhism leaves only 2 temples intact in Chang'an. One of them is the Temple of Great Compassionate Blessings. The temple and the pagoda within testify Xuanzang's devotion to Buddhism.
Attention all viewers. From this point on, you can increase the audio volume of the original video because the audio quality of the original video is back to normal from this point on. Please continue enjoying this great story. Thank you. We hope you enjoy this great story. Please don't forget to like our video and the original video. Thank you very much.